Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cocktails and Rocktails with me, your most notorious groupie, Allison Rouse, author of this little book right here, these other little books, where you can get that we've got tonight. Everything down in that description, down in the link tree, along with my funny ass merchandise, my social medias, everything. So go down, fiddle about, check it all out. And thank you guys, as always, for just being such an amazing community here and how we're just all incredibly bonding through music and shared experiences and being part of the backstage world. Just being in the arena as music lovers in general is the way we bond. And I am so lucky to have that and so thankful for you guys, truly. It really does make my day just seeing your faces every time I put out an episode, seeing you in the comments. Like, you guys are amazing. Whether we're talking or not, I'm just thankful for every single one of you here. So, cheers, my dears. I really appreciate you. And today, we're going to get a little naughty because rock and roll does get naughty. We all end up at the same place. And sometimes that place ends up being the Playboy Mansion. Ugh, we all know how I feel about it. I've done a whole episode on the Playmates. I've been to the Playboy Mansion, and it was just gross. Dog shit. Nothing was cleaned deeply. Like, just attention to detail was not something the cleaning team was hired for. You know, the girls' cottages, the dorms for the, oh, it's just gross. But you know what? It was part of our history. It was part of our American legacy, even though Hugh Hefner was kind of an asshole. Kind of. He was a total he was a total pig. You know, but he, like I said, he was a huge legacy to this world, to our country, to our the whole growing up. I mean, I think we all stole our dad's or friends' dad's Playboys. I got in trouble for stealing one of my friend's dad's Playboys because I was just like, what is this? I want to be one of those women, you know? So it was always, Playboy was a big part of our growing up. So today we are going to do the Julien's auctions for a bunch of the Playboy memorabilia. There's a lot of artwork, a lot of copies for big name artwork that were for sale in this auction, but I'm going to focus more on the kind of more familiar aspects that we see from the Playboy. But okay, and today, because it's kind of Sunday, and you know, the Playboy Mansion really was one of those just old school English manners, we're going to go with some Ryan's Irish Cream. I prefer Ryan's or McCormick's better because it has a bigger whiskey kick than Bailey's. Bailey's too sweet for me. So everybody, grab your whiskey creamies, kick up your feet, and let's have a little cocktails and auction tales. Cheers, my dears. Okay, so we're going to start with one of the most iconic things. And this is going to kind of give you an idea of setting, you know, different prices and stuff and why. Because, like I said, anything from the Playboy Mansion is going to be sought after. Certain things are going to be iconic, as you will see from the photo of Hugh Hefner and the ladies that I had at the beginning. A couple of those things from that picture are in this auction. But we're going to start off with the Playboy bunny suit from the Chicago Playboy original club. But wait, actually it's not. It was a bunny costume designed by Roberto Cavalli. I believe he was the original designer of them all. And worn by Palms Club bunny Michelle Garlick circa 2000s. So this is a later one. Okay, so, and it was estimated to go from $1,000 to $2,000, but it did sell for $4,445. Now, if it was an older one from the original Chicago, like I thought it was when I first started talking about this, then it would probably be worth a little bit more. But then again, anybody who watches Antiques Roadshow, I've seen about 10 to 15 different bunny outfits on over the years. So a lot of the ladies kept their bunny outfits. So of course this is only going to go for $4,445, but still more than it's estimated. Still iconic. Came with every little thing. The bunny ears, the little ribbon badge, the cuffs, everything, the tail, all the iconic pieces this came with. So yeah, that's But I, like I said, I think, and we can all look this up. We can all Google it when we hear this to see what other ones would go for. Because I've seen ones on the Antiques Roadshow that would go from ten to $15,000 when it was an original like '60s, '70s bunny, or the '50s, whenever the Playboy Mansion first started. So yeah, 4,445, more than the estimate. Still an iconic costume, whether it was new or old. This is how we all see the original Playboy bunnies. Okay, and the next item, this was also owned by Hugh Hefner, um, because I think Hugh Hefner, for this woman, it was one of the first women he fantasized about. It was the first woman that really brought an incredible sexuality. Even there was beautiful, sexy women before. She just brought a more brazen sexuality. That beautiful blonde Marilyn Monroe, first woman Hugh Hefner had on his cover of his first ever magazine. Now, this dress, it was supposed to go. This is a Poochie dress owned by Marilyn Monroe that was bought by Hugh Hefner. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he kept this in his bedroom area. I'm not sure from what I understand, but I could be wrong. But yeah, because I think with Hugh Hefner, he really kind of felt like he kind of owned Marilyn. Like he was his self appointed protector of Marilyn's legacy when he kind of exploited it because he used the pictures without anybody's permission and then bought them and, just kind of used. But I'm so glad that he did preserve a lot of stuff. And this dress is absolutely stunning. You could wear it today. Pucci's an amazing designer. This dress was supposed to go from $40,000 to $60,000, went for $325,000 because it's Marilyn Monroe. And Marilyn Monroe objects are very, very limited. Even some of her passe costume jewelry will go for very, very, very expensive. Marilyn Monroe memorabilia really kind of just goes in the circle of different collectors. Like somebody will own it for a while, but he owned this dress for a long, long time, because I think for him it was for the, Playboy and Hugh Hefner. It really was, she was the embodiment of the inspiration for Playboy. So it makes sense that he would own this dress. But yeah, and it's like I said, this is a totally wearable dress as of today. I wouldn't pay $325,000 for it, not even 60 to 40, but still it's iconic. So, and not a dress we have seen very often. It hasn't come out on the market a lot. So, absolute stunner, totally awesome. Marilyn Monroe object, like I said, going to go for a lot of money every time. All right, and speaking of iconic clothing, like I said, this is something we would see from the beginning of this episode. This outfit. I mean, this is Hugh Hefner. Whenever we think of Hugh Hefner, this is it. He was wearing it in that photo. He wore this all the time. This and his silk pajamas, which we'll see a couple of those along the way. But it kind of shows you the collectability as well, because previously that Marilyn Monroe dress, $325,000, because Marilyn Monroe, you have a whole genre of collectors, from entertainment to studios to personal Marilyn Monroe. And Playboy Hugh Hefner might be a little more limited. But this is still, like I said, that red velvet iconic. Every man wanted to have this. Some men still do. Raise your hands in the comments if you do, guys. Nothing wrong with it. It's a look, it's a feel. Trust me, I have my house dresses. I get it, so, but like I said, totally iconic outfit. We know this. The second you see this, even in this form without the body in it, this is Hugh Hefner 100 fucking percent. Estimated, and this estimate kind of got to me because I'm like, really? That's it? $2,000 to $3,000 for the whole set, for the whole lot, the jacket and the silk pajamas that go with it, right? $2,000 to $3,000 they estimated it at. And it did go for 35,750, but I still think that that's kind of that kind of lowballed. Honestly, I'm surprised this didn't go for around 100,000, because like I said, this is iconic. You put this picture up anywhere in the world, we know who it is. You could probably put this up over in Venus or Jupiter somewhere, and it's still going to know who this is. We know exactly who that is. So somebody got a really good deal, I think, personally. Like, I think there were two, maybe three different outfits like this, but still, I still think that's a pretty low ball estimate, low ball sold price. Just because, like I said, it is so iconic. But yeah, 35,750. I mean, it started at 2 to 3 thousand. Like most of us have that on our Visa cards, you know. So we could have had hope to own something iconic. But yeah, pretty cool. Okay, and next item up, we all could have afforded, I think, because once upon a time, Playboy, and we can all, like, somewhere in the back of our minds picture this from the 60s and 70s, you know, in the Playboy mansions in Chicago and Los Angeles and stuff, that they were like, oh yeah, we're girls next door. They wanted to portray a wholesome image despite its, you know, raunchy nudity stuff like, and I'm not saying raunchy because I think it's raunchy. I've done 78 men's magazines myself. So I just preferred to work with Larry Flint. But yeah, so Playboy was really like marketed itself as the girls next door, the wholesome family nudity book, you know. We're all, you know, full bush so you can't see the lips and tongues and whatever, you know. I can't see the man in the boat. So we can all picture, like in some of the interviews and stuff, there were a bunch of the bunnies sitting around in their pajamas by the fire playing board games. And here's some of them that they played. And they look like they're from the 60s and 70s and probably haven't been touched since then because we all know what happened in the 80s, just total hedonism. Even though he was married, it still went a little wild. So this all was played by playmates, by rock stars, by Hugh Hefner, by his family, by actors, dignitaries, whatever. And it, you know, the estimate was $100 to $200, and nobody wants these because they're like, oh, these are the games that are played in the Playboy Mansion. They still have Playboy's provenance, so I thought they would have gone for maybe five, but they went for $128. So not a bad haul, not a bad little memorabilia, because it will only get. I think it'll appreciate because, again, limited. There's not going to be anything more from the Playboy Mansion. Okay, and moving on to the next one, which this is something that, you know, you could actually use, but who would want to because you're buying it for the memorabilia purposes. And I'm guessing this probably held watches, jewelry that was personal to Hugh Hefner, part of his own personal wardrobe. So this is his Cartier box. And like I said, we all see the watches, like his gold chains that he used to wear, stuff like that over the years. This is probably where he kept it inside of his massive walk-in closet. You know, just an unassuming box, but it's Cartier, so it's probably made out of excellent wood. You probably have an incredible lining. Like I said, he probably kept a lot of his watches and stuff in there. And this was estimated at $150 to $250. It went for $2,560. And a lot of the reason why, like, we saw the games that went for cheap, but this has his name on it. It is labeled. It does say Cartier. This is something he used regularly, and it's something that's pleasing aesthetically and that can be actually used if you have a watch collection or anything in there. And I would assume it comes with a key. Maybe not. Maybe he didn't have it, but yeah, so something a little more collectible, a little more usable, more provenance to it than, you know, the games. So this went for 2,560. Not a bad deal. Pretty cool piece. You could set it up in your Instagram background or something, you know, have it there. Nice little object to have, right? All right, and moving on to the next object, we have something that was another piece of memorabilia that was actually pretty affordable. We have the Playboy 25th anniversary pink bomber jacket. Anybody who was invited to the party, who was associated with Playboy, from the office to the magazine, to the house, to everybody, a lot of people got these. So there are a lot of them out there. But it does remind me very, very much of the Pink Ladies jackets. But I love this jacket. Like, I would rock this jacket. Hell yeah. Get a little of those tight, sandy, you know, satin pants on. Have a little fun with it. You could rock, and it's a cool jacket. It's very aesthetically pleasing. And for what the price was, it was estimated $400 to $600. Like I said, probably because there are a lot of them out there. A lot of people got this stuff. Because it was commemorating 25 years of this iconic publication. So not a bad deal, $416, only sold for $1,600. But like I said, there's a lot of them out there. It's something that's associated with Playboy, but it's not maybe original. It's definitely not bunny suits. It's not a key card, which there was a key card that was in the Julien auction. That some of this auction went down August of this year, some of it went down December of last year. So, but yeah, sold for $1,600. Actually, there was only 16 bids, so it went up I'm guessing it probably went up in $50 increments, it looks like. So, yeah, not a bad piece of memorabilia to have. Something really cool, something you could actually wear. I would wear. I mean, ladies, we've all paid more for purses and boots or our favorite dress, wedding dress, whatever. So, this is something cool to pay for. Not a bad deal. Okay. And here's another iconic piece that we see that we know we've seen through so many photographs that Hugh Hefner has done, so many interviews. This is part of every tour we've seen of the mansion. We've probably seen this chair. So, and here he is sitting in his iconic jammies and velvet jacket. Absolutely love it. So this chair, it is Victorian Gothic Revival hall chair. So it's not a period chair, but it was something he probably had done in like the 70s, 80s, 60s when he first started having the mansions and stuff. And I'm guessing he probably bought it for the LA Playboy Mansion. But yeah, estimated $6,000 to $8,000. It went slightly over for $8,960, which, if it was an actual antique, it might have added value to it. But still, the Hugh Hefner Playboy connection, I thought it would have gone for more. Because, like I said, this is a very recognizable chair. We see this chair all the time. We see Hugh Hefner doing tons of interviews and other Playboy bunnies sitting on his lap during those interviews. So it's something that we mentally and emotionally associate with him. So kind of surprised it did go for only 8,960. I thought it would go for way, way more. Okay, and the next object, you guys. I mean, this looks like just some boring old books from the thousands of books that were in the Playboy Mansion, right? Because there was all kinds of English Tudor mansions. There's going to be bookshelves galore, right? So it looks like a very, very unassuming little set of books, but it's not. It is Hugh Hefner's personal stash of every Playboy ever made. This is just one little lot of the collection, but these are his personal ones, and I didn't see all of them because it's just they're all in the binder. Because as paper ages and stuff, we have to be a lot more careful. We have to wear gloves, the conservatory gloves, but these are all of his personal Playboys of every Playboy ever made. I mean, just how friggin' cool is that? I mean, to have this, now this would be a hell of a background for your Instagram, TikTok, whatever, photo shoot, because it's like Hugh Hefner, he didn't just jerk off to these women like most people did. He fucking slept with them because, anybody who is a Playboy knows about 98% of the women had to sleep with them to get into the magazine. So, especially if you wanted to be centerfold. But yeah, so this is his own personal stash. I wonder if they're like a little different, the original copies before the final print or anything like that. If they have his, notes in him, stuff like that. I don't know. Originally estimated for $30,000. They went for 44,800. So obviously these were going to go up so much higher. Then I'm surprised they did not go more. And maybe if they did have all of his personal notes, anything like that in them, like if they were the original copy, the last copy before the press, yeah, I wonder. I would think they would have gone for more. So, but still, that is Hugh Hefner's personal collection of Playboy magazines. Everybody had them. He just happened to have every single of the playmates in there. Okay, and the next object, you guys. I mean, this looks like just some boring old books from the thousands of books that were in the Playboy Mansion, right? Because there was all kinds of English Tudor mansions. There's going to be bookshelves galore, right? So it looks like a very, very unassuming little set of books, but it's not. It is Hugh Hefner's personal stash of every Playboy ever made. This is just one little lot of the collection, but these are his personal ones, and I didn't see all of them because it's just they're all in the binder. Because as paper ages and stuff, we have to be a lot more careful. We have to wear gloves, the conservatory gloves, but these are all of his personal Playboys of every Playboy ever made. I mean, just how friggin' cool is that? I mean, to have this, now this would be a hell of a background for your Instagram, TikTok, whatever, photo shoot, because it's like Hugh Hefner, he didn't just jerk off to these women like most people did. He fucking slept with them because, anybody who is at Playboy knows about 98% of the women had to sleep with them to get into the magazine. So, especially if you wanted to be centerfold. But yeah, so this is his own personal stash. I wonder if they're like a little different, the original copies before the final print or anything like that. If they have his, notes in him, stuff like that. I don't know. Originally estimated for $30,000. They went for 44,800. So obviously these were going to go up so much higher. Then I'm surprised they did not go more. And maybe if they did have all of his personal notes, anything like that in them, like if they were the original copy, the last copy before the press, yeah, I wonder. I would think they would have gone for more. So, but still, that is Hugh Hefner's personal collection of Playboy magazines. Everybody had them. He just happened to have every single of the playmates in there. Okay, and on with some more style from the Playboy Mansion. You know, with the Playboy Mansion, in LA, it was very elaborate. It was very English country, and everything that goes with that, the very Gilded Age styled. So you have a George II style console table. Whether this is an antique one or a more contemporary one, which I'm guessing it's an antique one. Um, Although a lot of the objects, were kind of reproductions, as we know from the chair, stuff like that. So it says George II style, but that could have been made anytime afterwards. So it doesn't say what year it was made, but it's a beautiful table. If this is your style, the marble on it, the gild, everything is absolutely gorgeous. You could keep it as your desk. You could put it as a console table. You could do whatever you want with this. So this is actually something that is more, appealing to a lot more genres, from designers to Playboy to George, just different styles. So this was going to go for 2,500 to 3,500, but it did sell for $25,000. And I don't think that was because this is an iconic piece that we see all the time from the Playboy Mansion by any means. Would we expect this to come out of the Playboy Mansion? Absolutely. This was probably in one of the bedrooms, or in the entryway, or in one of the mini living areas. So could have been in in his bedroom himself. But yeah, it's a beautiful table. Not exactly my style. I don't think I would have it in my house, but it's very, very well made, very intricate. The woodworking and the gilding alone is not easy. So, but yeah, $25,000. I'm guessing it must have a little age to it for that to be the price. Okay, and next thing we're moving on to, which I think I think so many people would have this in their house. I think this is something that easily. And obviously, I people agree with me. And this is a Hugh Hefner portrait between Stones, Lions, and Book. Um, so this was by Olivia. What is she does all the really beautiful, sexy women in like the cat poses, and she did all the Betty Pages with the fishtail. But this is by the same woman. So she did Hugh Hefner as well. And this portrait, I really love this portrait of him. I'm not, like I said, I'm not the biggest Hugh Hefner fan, but I think this is very casual. It's very him. It's very elaborate with those stone lions because, you know, lions of that would only be in a place of grandeur. So it's expressing so many things at once that we don't even see. And outside the obvious, we see Hugh Hefner, we see the sexy, we see everything that goes with the name Hugh Hefner and the silk pajamas and stuff like that. So absolutely, like I said, I'm not the only one who thinks this would be a great part of decor, just to kind of, I could see it in some, you know, Gen X to Gen Z couple, millennial couple hanging out down in Palm Springs, like Matt Sorum. He has a place down in Palm Springs. I could see this in like that type of house, right? This would just be très cool, just so cool in that type house. It was estimated at $1,000 to $2,000. It sold for $19,200 because, like I said, very workable interior decor, very desirable. The artist boosts it up because her stuff goes for a lot of money, and she's very iconic in a lot of things we see. Like I say, those Betty Page images with the fishtail, with the little in the big heels with the whip and the yeah. I mean, Olivia is an amazing artist. I have a huge collection of her cards, so really love her style. But yeah, 19,200. So I'm not the only one who thought this would be a good addition to the household. All right, next item. Tell me if this doesn't look familiar. Look at this robe and look at the picture we just saw. I'm pretty sure, like, you know, Hugh Hefner had thousands of robes and silk pajamas over the years. And that's pretty much what his closet was full of. Because even when he went in public, he went looking pretty much like this, you know. And you compare the robe with the picture before, with the lot before, but this is pretty close. I think this might be the robe he was painted in. But really, like, the silk robe with the, what do you call it? Uh, oh, you know, the velvet lapel and the tie and everything. And it does come with the book, so I believe it is probably listed in the Olivia book as what he was wearing in this painting, in the previous painting. But absolutely another iconic, but still not the red velvet. But again, something he has been pictured wearing that is definitely, you know, part of his iconic wardrobe. That's what he wears in and out of the house, you know? I mean, why the fuck not? You know? I mean, he was wearing pajamas before everybody else was wearing their Walmart onesies out of the house, you know? We've all done it. So, yeah, but really an iconic robe, something you could actually wear, but would you want to? I would check it for DNA first because there's probably a shit stain in there somewhere along the way. Without a doubt, especially if he had it in his later years. So it was estimated for $1,000 to $2,000, sold for $5,760. Still not a bad deal for something this iconic that I'm pretty sure is the same robe as in the picture before. I mean, it really is just like Hugh Hefner to a T right there. You know, it's not the red velvet, like I said, the burgundy velvet, but it's definitely Hugh Hefner all the way 100%. Right. And if you're looking for a little something to, you know, wear here with this robe, if you bought it, then I'm going to put these three lots together because we have three different pajamas um, at three very different prices, you know. So the first one I'm gonna point out is the bespoke sage silk pajamas. Now, you keep in mind this is probably everything. Huge walk-in closet in an English Tudor mansion. This is what you're gonna see hanging up. All three of these. So, but very, very similar estimates. Very, very different prices. So the Hugh Hefner bespoke sage silk pajamas, 400 to 600. Same with the champagne ones. Now we have the lavender silk ones as well. So the sage one sold for $1,920. But then you have the champagne one, which only sold for 640, just barely above the estimate, when the other one did more than 3 times the estimate. And then you have the lavender silk ones that went for even more than the sage ones. Because, I mean, let's face it, you know, aesthetic and subconscious is really, really what sells a lot of things at auctions. How we see it, how pleasing it is to our palate, whatever. And when you're looking at these three, I would definitely buy the lavender silk ones, then the green ones, and then the champagne ones. So I can see why the champagne ones only went for the $640, which that's probably what he probably paid $1,000 a pop for these, for the silk and the custom making, and they're perfectly tailored to his size, everything, the crotch the way he likes it, the ass so it doesn't get stuck in his old man 80-year-old ass, type of stuff. But yeah, so 3 different little of the same set of pajamas, probably from the same company, 3 very different prices. The lavender silk ones went for the most, and and I can see why. It's the most aesthetically pleasing out of the 3. Oh, right. And this is really a clothes-soaked lot. So another thing we have, another iconic piece, because again, it's that signature color, it's that lapel, it's the it's the brocade style. It is the Hugh Hefner bespoke smoking jacket. Like, again, probably the same company, Taylor, he went to for years and years and years. Another iconic piece. And you could easily wear it with any of the pajamas that we just previously saw. I would probably put it with the purple ones, because I don't want the champagne ones. You can probably see the old man stains in there, but not on this. And they've all been cleaned. This is Julien's, not the Goodwill. Anyway, so this jacket, again, another iconic jacket. Absolutely stunning, absolutely amazing, very cool look. You could probably reach into the pocket and find something that he left in there. Probably a snot rag, but anyway, it's just you could just smell Hugh Hefner on it. You could smell all the Playboy bunnies that left their DNA on it. It's just, you can smell the grotto on this son of a bitch, right? So Hugh Hefner bespoke smoking jacket, estimated 3 to 5,000, which again, Julien's knew this is a really low estimate, but they hadn't really had anything sell like this before from, the collection. So sold for $25,600. Of course it is. It's iconic. It is Hugh Hefner to a T. Like, you get out of your little sports car that came and picked you up at the airport with that guy from the kitchen, driving, and you come in and there's Hugh Hefner waiting for you in that jacket. Probably no pants, because again, if you want to get into Playboy, you don't have to, you're not wearing pants to get there. All right, guys, and when you've got your smoking jacket and your silky pajamas, and you want to have breakfast out by the grotto at the Playboy Mansion, or you're having, one of the Midsummer Night Dream pajama parties, stuff like that, this is, the accessory that everybody needs. And again, this is something signature with Hugh Hefner, that we all can picture, the iconic, he doesn't wear normal shoes. He doesn't have runners. He might have in his older age. But, he has these nice little velvety slippers, completely monogrammed. Absolutely, again, that red lining. Absolutely. I call them the Pope's shoes because they look like what the popes used to wear back in the day, but definitely luxurious, very leisurely, day drinking, getting laid in the middle of the day shoes, easy to slip on and slip off just like those pajama bottoms. So estimated again, $300 to $500. I'm surprised that these didn't go for more, but there's probably a lot of these out there that are being sold because these were the main shoes he wore. So he probably had like hundreds of pairs of these. So sold price $3,520. Really great shoes, really comfortable. I mean, these really speak to who he was in his lifestyle on a day to day, just very leisurely, very luxe, very what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, Lux and very, I mean, just very day drinking shoes. I'd wear these to day drink. That's for damn sure. But yeah, love these shoes. Very much part of the iconic wardrobe. Surprised they only went for 3,520, but like I said, there's probably a shit ton of them out there. Okay, and the last iconic piece of clothing from Hugh Hefner. This is something that we have all seen. Although, did we ever see him wearing this on a boat? I mean, really, it reminds me of a captain's hat, but it says military naval hat and book. But this is, I mean, Hugh Hefner wore these all the time with his little iconic jackets and out in public. And again, when we think of Hugh Hefner, we see this. We see this hat all over the place, like 100%. And he probably had several of them. And this is something easily you could wear even for costumes, stuff like that, for Halloween if you want to go for as Hugh Hefner and all your newly accumulated Heffy gear, And this I kind of thought would go for a little more just because, again, it's something we've seen Hugh Hefner. We can easily picture this. All the Playboy buddies standing next to his side, Barbara, on down his ex-wives. And Crystal Hefner's ring sold last wife. Only for $25,000. But that's not part of this. But yeah, so his military naval hat, which I don't recall him ever seeing him on a boat, but he wore this shit all the time. So estimate 100 to 200,000 went for 2,188. Still a very affordable a piece of memorabilia. Okay, we have to finish off with this piece. One final piece. And the description alone cracks my ass up. It's funny as hell, you guys. So let me read this description. A 14-karat yellow gold ring with satin finish and engraved scrolled sides, centering a black onyx plaque. Stamped within KC 3760, the onyx plaque is hinged on one side and opens to reveal a hidden compartment which was found to contain a blue Viagra pill. The ring is size 9. Oh my. I mean, who would, I guess, queens and kings had poison rings, so Hugh Hefner had his hardcock ring. So, just a little bit of a different ring than we thought. God, that came out so wrong. Oh, but I guess it did get there, it got the job done. Wow, and it's your basic ring, and I'm sure we've seen this on his finger. This is probably something he wore. I'll put a couple of the pictures up. Like I said, you can even see where the ring is open. There's a little bit of residue in there, so he probably kept his little blue pills in there regularly and would just slip them all nonchalantly in, even though Holly said that he could never actually get off from regular being inside of we all know what Holly said. But anyway, so The description, I cannot believe Julian's put that in the description. That is the fucking funniest thing I've ever seen in an auction. You know, I mean, Hugh Hefner, of course, he needed Viagra after a certain age. A lot of guys do. Nothing wrong with it. Keeps you going longer, if anything. You know, I don't mind it. Go ahead, use it, put it in there. You know, that came out so wrong as well. Oh, God. Okay, I'm just getting worse and worse as I go. But anyway, so yeah. Cool basic ring, something we could totally see him wearing. I would like to know more about that stamp KC3760. That would indicate more of a maker, where he got it, probably Cartier. I mean, and it could be a vintage ring, that, you know, an antique ring that was made long before before he was. So, yeah, the estimate was $600 to $800. Went for $22,400, because what a fucking great story to go with it. I have no doubt that story sold that ring. You know, the contained, I wish they can't leave the Viagra in there because it's prescription only, I think. Maybe, maybe not. But yeah, you can't sell somebody else's drugs at Julien's, or, you know, it's not Amazon. Fucking Craigslist, whatever. You know, you can't just sell anything at Julien's or Sotheby's or anything like that. But very cool, very, very cool thing to end the auction with. All right, so there you go, guys. There is some stuff from the Playboy Mansion. Some of it wearable, some of it probably not so much. I would wear the shoes, maybe not the pants. There's something gross about that. Because you know he wasn't wearing no knickers. He's swinging free in there. Whew. Farting in it too. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this auction today. Sorry, if anybody's been to the Playboy Mansion, we know that grotto had an STD that science still has not figured out. Come on now. They probably had to have extra hazmat when they cleaned that thing out, or ripped it down when the new owner moved in. Because the new owner bought it years before Hugh Hefner died. And just that was part of the contract. He lived in it until he passed away, and the new owner then took possession. And yeah, so a lot of memories in those jammies, a lot of memories, just really a lot of iconic things that surround the whole Playboy lore, the whole Hugh Hefner persona, and how we visualized him growing up. And, you know, like I said, we all stole somebody's Playboy magazines. Tell me who you stole yours from. And thank you to everybody who got to the end of the episode. You guys are so much fun. I love hearing your feedback and your ideas. It really does help run the channel, and is absolutely amazing. You guys fucking rock. Thank you so, so much. And if you're just wandering on and hanging out, come on over, become part of the family. We have a fucking amazing family here. We've got a really cool place where we just bond through music and different things that we like. And, you know, it's just really awesome to meet so many cool people from so many different places, and everybody sharing their stories and experiences. You know, it's really awesome to be able to share that with you guys. Really, really, truly. And if you're, like I said, if you're just happening by, you're just sort of driving by, you're like, ooh, what's that? Well, come and join us and find out. Come and join the family. Hit that subscribe. Hit that share. Let's get out there. We are climbing steadily. Let's keep it going. Let's get up. 10,000 is my goal at the moment. You know, I really do want this book and everything to get the purchase deal signed. I just say it every time because I put it out to the universe. Listen to me, universe. But yeah, so tell me what you guys think. If you're just wandering here, become part of the family. Hit the subscribe, hit the share. Let's get us out there, hit my bells. And we'll see you next time on Cocktails and Rocktails. Cheers, big ears.